This is a video that's going to introduce the concept of a microcontroller. So in TinkerCAD, under Basic, we have two microcontrollers. We're only going to deal with the first one, but we also have the microbit, and we might start a series just on how that works, but we'll see how this goes. Anyways, we're going to delete that one. So this is the microcontroller, and this blue part is actually a board that it sits on. And so if you wanted to, you could have a very small chip on your project, and that would run a program as well. This part right here is just the, I think it's a USB-B, and it plugs in. And when you hit simulate, does it move? Yeah, so when you hit simulate, it actually starts moving, and you can sort of see this little LED flashing on and off. You also get a green for on, and when you turn it off, those things go off. So I'm assuming that this isn't your first time at TinkerCAD, but you're trying to look at the code aspect of it. So the first thing that comes in is the block code, and that's just by hitting this code up here. And if you do the drop down, you can go to block and text, and if you want to, you can just go to text. So later on, we're going to just go to text, but we're going to start off by doing a little bit of both, I guess. And over here we've got a drop down. There's only one in this project, but I think you can actually have more than one device in this project. And that's it for now. Okay, so open the code and we're going to take a look. So this start box, if you look, is essentially the setup. Now we don't have anything in here because it does this for you. So the idea of these blocks is just to get you up and running very quickly, and then hopefully you migrate over to the text. You do have a situation where you can choose the font size. I have it at largest possible already. So if we read this, this is called a forever, which means that it's a loop, and in near C, or whatever we call this language, it basically goes between this curly brace to the other one, and you can notice that they are shaped in a particular way, and if one of them's missing, it gets really upset. Okay, so the first thing that happens in the loop is that we take this thing that's called built-in LED, so that would be this one right here, and we're going to set it to high, and then we're going to wait for 1 second. So this is in milliseconds, so it's going to wait for 1 second. You can change it to milliseconds, and then it would be so fast that you couldn't tell. But in this case, it's seconds, and over on the right, it's milliseconds. We often work in milliseconds for precise timing. So after it's done waiting, then it's going to turn that to low. You could turn it back to high if you want, but then you wouldn't even notice the change at all. And then it's going to wait for 1 second again. So what could we do? Let's hit play, and we'll see what's happening again. So we see this little light. Not terribly impressive, but that's what we got. So whenever you're making changes, you have to press stop, and to get rid of the code, you press code. And now you're back to your normal interface. So let's add something just to make it a little bit more visually appealing. So we're going to grab a resistor. I'm going to set the resistor at 200. Make sure you change this to ohms and not kilo ohms, and it just reverses the colors. So now the cathode goes to negative, so we're going to take that right to negative, and we're going to hit number 1 on the keyboard to change that to black. And now we can run a wire, or we can just stick it right into the rail, and then we could even move this just right into the rail. So now when we hit play, we're going to have two things light up. So we've got the built-in LED, and it's clearly hooked up to pin 13 on the microcontroller. So that's where you could stop at this point, but of course we want to make it a little bit more exciting. So what can we do to grab another one? Well, if I copy this one, I don't have to change the value. I can keep it the same. So I'm going to go Control C, Control V, And so I got another one. So I could bring this into pin 12. I can put this up higher, or we can connect it. Let's choose a different color. And then we could go to ground if we want to. So now we can join here. Now if you're actually doing this in real life, you couldn't do this the way that we're doing it. But you can join right here. And now when I hit play, what's going to happen? Well, we haven't changed the program, so we're just going to still have the same thing happening. So we're going to go back to code, and we're going to add one part to this. So over on the, I guess on the left of the code panel, we have inputs, we have outputs, we have notation, we've got control, we've got math, and variables. So we're going to use an output. So this one says built-in LED, but we want to have one that we can set. Now it doesn't matter where we put this, but it does matter that we change it to 12. And so we're going to have that one high start, and then we're going to grab another one down here, and we're going to change that to low. So anytime you're doing something, you want to predict what's going to happen. So when I hit play, we suspect that they're both going to go on at once. And what we can do is we can make this opposite, and this one opposite. So now we can make a prediction as to what's going to happen, and they're going to alternate. Okay, so that's pretty cool, but what else can we do? We can change the timing to milliseconds, and we can make this maybe, let's go 200. And then we'll change this one to milliseconds, and we'll make this one 200. And then when we hit play, what's going to happen? They're going to go off and on faster. Okay, so what can we do? We could change this to a different color. So we often go to green, and we can hit play. Okay, so I think for your challenge, you can choose to either duplicate this and have it work, or you could go one more and you could add another LED and maybe make a traffic light so that it goes through the sequence of a traffic light. And if you can do that, that's great. If you can't, then we'll take a look at that next time. Okay, good luck, have fun.